Hello, this is Unchained. So, I want to give you my thoughts on spinning plates as a Christian. So, the church that I attend, when I was younger, maybe in my preteens, or maybe a little bit more when I was barely in my teens, I'd say barely going into my teens, um, I was advised with the group of younger men to uh, to date multiple women, basically spin plates, but to not have sex. And I was also told that it's okay to date other women that are dating other men, but they must not be married. That's important, not to be married, because they're not married, they're not in a long-term relationship. So the church that I attend says, yeah, go ahead, date other women. They're not married. If they were considered to be exclusive in an LTR, um, I'm pretty sure that the woman would want to go with the highest bidder, the one that has the most resources, the most potential, I would say. And still, it wouldn't be cheating because there's no ring, there's no official state in writing that that person is married. Yes, of course, you might ruin the establishment of a relationship that has been going on for years. But if the woman is wise, if the woman is able to have this sense that I have built a relationship with a man for over a year, 2 or 3, I'm not willing to break that up because I put in the work with this man. But if this relationship is a relationship that has not a strong foundation, then a man that is single can pursue this woman. It's a fair game. It's fair game because she's not married and she's not sexually involved. But at the same time, I do not promote to be sexually involved with a woman out of marriage because that could lead to a lot of problems. I know that the men that give advice and wisdom to other men to spin plates and to be promiscuous, they say go for it. Why not? And for me, I would say some men are not mentally capable of detaching themselves from that. I remember watching a video of Paul Elam's where he would embrace the PUA community and the PUA tactics to be promiscuous with women. And at the end of the day, or at the end of this cycle of his life, he realized that he lost who he was. He was just being promiscuous with another piece of flesh, another piece of pleasure, flesh upon flesh, meat upon meat. And that's what I saw. That's what I've heard in my interpretation of what he was saying. He could not be himself. He lost himself, and he couldn't be who he wanted to be. And we have to be careful as Christians. We need to be very careful when we listen to these men speak, because we can listen to all their content that they have, and we hear a perpetual hearing of you can have a notch count of this and that, but does that affect you subconsciously? Do you hear it perpetually in your head, and is your mind strong enough to block that out? Or will you have those urges those urges to say, forget this, I'm just gonna go out and indulge and fill up that pleasure in my life because I'm burning with passion to be in a relationship with someone. But in reality, it's not really a relationship because what you want is just pleasure. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. When you're looking for a relationship, ask yourself, do I really want a relationship? Or is this just pleasure? Do I want to please the flesh and give in? And if you do choose to go that route, which I do not promote, will you lose yourself? Will you walk away from God? And is your mind strong enough to realize that you've sinned and gone against God's word? See, that's why I do not promote. I do not promote having sex out of a marriage, because what it does to your mind, people don't talk about what it does to your mind. People are saying, well, you just don't have to associate emotions with the person that you're having sexual relationships with. But when you have sexual relationships and hookups with people, how does that affect you? And how will that affect the relationship that you'll have in the future with someone, or the mother of your children? Will you be able to handle yourself? Will you be able to not look at other women and wanting to have pleasure with them? Or will you be able to have that renewed mind? Will you be able to have that discipline and knowledge and wisdom installed in yourself, internalized, and be able to stand on your own ground and say, I as a man have committed to this woman, and I said, until death do us part, and I have children with this woman, I'm going to stay faithful until the day I die. Have you trained yourself to the point that you're able to follow through and ask yourself that question? Will I be able to be faithful to this one woman? Because it's one easy thing to say it, but to actually do it, it takes training if you have a past of sexual partners. It takes training. You have to rewire your mind. You have to take out the old habit, the temperament, the lifestyle. I think they call it the P-way lifestyle, right? While having the promiscuous lifestyle, can you train yourself out of it? Or like people, do they think it's a snap of a finger and it's like, okay, well, I found a woman, I really like her, I want to spend the rest of my life, okay, let's go. Maybe for some men it is easier. It's easier and it could be done. For other men, it's easier said than done. You only know yourself. You only know your weaknesses. But at the same time, is being aware of what damage will it do to myself if I'm promiscuous. So like I mentioned, it's good to spin plates, meet other women. But be very careful when you spin plates. When you spin women, you look at the plate, and is there fecal matter on that plate? Is there things on that plate that you're not even willing to spin? And advice to people that are not Christian, will you spin a plate that there's fecal matter and problems and things that you don't want? Of course not. Maybe you'll spin it for one night of pleasure, but is it worth it? Is it worth your time? You know? Like I've heard George Bruno say, you can spin plates, your hobbies, your work, the things you do, those are plates that you spin. Why? Because it's time. The resource that you're using when you spin plates is time. You're spending time to get to know someone. You're spending your time to do what you need to do. You spend the time to make money to spend time with another human being. So if you look at it at its roots, time is applicable to this. It is one of the foundations to spinning plates. The time that you're going to spend with these women, or people as well, friends, being in social gatherings. So I want you guys to really think about this as Christians. You can spin plates, but not have sex. And you can also be able to create moments and emotions in a woman that will help her decide whether or not she wants something with you in the long run. So you have options. You have options. People in the Bible, in the Old Testament, they had options as well. You have options as well. But be careful of those options. Even in the New Testament, people had options, even if it's not written. They had options of what they were going to do in life. Whether they're going to sin against God or they were going to do something right. Same applies to here. Am I going to do right as a Christian and meet women and not have sex? Or am I going to do bad and just fall into my depraved mind and have, just follow the carnal mind and have sex with multiple women? And am I strong enough to get out of it? And most times than not, as a Christian, that's going to be hard. You might not be able to get out of it. You're going to be hooked to it. Just like a fish when it's caught. It's going to be hard to take that out. And the only one that could take that out really is the Lord. But sometimes He lets that hook stay for a while so that you could learn your lesson. So think about it. Think about the plates you spin, whether it be friends, whether it be your hobbies. And I know most importantly, in people's minds, in the deep core of their being, because most people, majority of people, are finding someone to be with of the opposite gender. Women. And I'm talking to men here. And maybe it could be vice versa, women trying to find a man. But yes, be careful what you spin, and be careful what you ask for, what you get yourself into. And that's pretty much all I have to say. So thank you for your ear to hear this message, and God bless you.